Hey, welcome. It is Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christopher, and the show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. And what we do every single Friday is come to you live to mastermind, to launch your real estate business, to grow your real estate business, to actually make money in real estate. Quite a concept, right? You know, kind of maybe one of the reasons why, maybe not the reason, but it's probably up there. It's probably top 3 on the list, if not number 1 already, is to make money when you're getting your real estate license. But there's so much information out there. There's so much to learn, and there's so many mistakes that can be made. But don't worry, we're here to talk about the mistakes, the things it is that you shouldn't be doing, the things it is that you should be doing in your first month in real estate. And look, even if you've been in real estate longer than 1 month, tune into this episode because you might have missed a few things in this first month that you should start putting action towards right now. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm John Charisma. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate, and you're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome to State of Real Estate, your source for growing or even launching your real estate career, because you got to grow it from nothing to something. So whatever phase it may be that you're in real estate, whether you're just thinking about it or whether you've been in real estate for 10 years. Look, even if you've been in real estate for 10 years, maybe this is a chance to be born again into the Tampa School of Real Estate ways of trying to pound out that success, getting out there and closing deals. And ask yourself this question, especially if you're already in real estate: how many deals are you on track to close this month? If the answer isn't 3, 4, 5, gather around and let's talk about how we can do that. Let's talk about, especially if you're brand new to real estate, how you're going to close one deal. Because that's what happens with a lot of new agents. A lot of agents make some mistakes, and they go out there with the real estate license and they activate their license, they join the Realtor Association, they find a broker it is that they like, and they're not closing deals for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. What's the disconnect? Why is there agents that'll get their license and be closing deals right off the get-go, whereas some agents might even leave the real estate industry before they even got a deal closed? We don't want that to happen to you. We want you closing deals. We want you making money, so you stay in the real estate industry. And full disclosure, so you come back to us taking the post-licensing course. Look, if you're not successful in real estate, you're probably not going to want to keep your license. So we want to see you successful. We want to see you closing deals. So you've got to take post-license. So you've got to do continuing education. And so when your friends ask you, where should I start my real estate career? You tell them Tampa School of Real Estate is the place. So that's where we gain out of helping you be successful. But first, let's deal with you being successful. That kind of comes first and foremost. So let's cover some things that you want to do when you're first starting your real estate career. So number one is we could use a lot of words for this. I'm going to just call it be active. And I don't mean that you activated your license. Yes, that's the technical definition of having an active license, is that you've joined a broker or whatever that may be. Yeah, you kind of have to do that, because if you don't do that, then that does make this a little bit more difficult. But when I say be active, let's talk about what that's not. Don't be passive. Because let's talk about what it's like with passive. And let me introduce you to one of the killer mistakes of a lot of new agents. One of the huge mistakes a lot of new agents make is they get their license and they sit and they wait. Or even maybe they're taking their course and they're sitting and they're waiting to take their state exam. You have to be active. You have to be intentional. You have to be a go-getter. And even if you're not a go-getter, trust me, it's easy to go get. You just have to do. You have to be active. You can't just sit around and wait for business. I mean, you can. Nothing's going to stop you from doing that. Nothing stops a lot of agents from just sitting around and waiting for business and being passive. But look, how many times has whatever business or career it is that you're in, that just randomly, without any sort of advertising, without any sort of marketing, without any knowledge that exists, that let's say that you're in real estate, that somebody just randomly picks up their phone and just starts dialing numbers until they find a real estate agent and you just happen to be the one? No. And even if, let's say, you're listed in some sort of service, let's say you set up a Zillow profile, fantastic. But are you advertising on Zillow? Because basically every other agent out there also has a Zillow profile. And look, I don't even recommend advertising on Zillow. That's my personal take. There's a lot of agents that are successful with that, but that's a story for a different show. And even as a new agent, that's my recommendation, is don't just jump right into the Zillow game. They are making some changes, and they're supposedly making it better for agents. I've seen some of the changes it is that they're making, and it looks like they're moving in a good direction, but they're still more effective, more efficient ways to find clients. But you've got to be doing something. So even advertising on Zillow is better than not advertising Zillow. Even if you're just setting up a free profile on Zillow, it's better than not doing anything. But number 2 mistake is a lot of agents, the number 1 mistake is being passive. You don't want to be passive, you need to be active. But number 2 mistake is poor time management. And, we've all talked about this before, time management. Yeah, we all know it's important. But are you really tracking your time? Are you doing what is most likely to get you business immediately? Are you working on picking the low-hanging fruit? Are you spending time designing a business card, designing a website, making some sort of brochure that takes hours to design and perfect? And these are all things that can help your real estate business. But when you're newly licensed, when you've just got really any time that you don't have business right now, you need to be pushing your time towards goals and activities that will gain you business. Spending your time finding deals. Spending your time bringing business to you. So mistake number 2, how do we want to word this here? Well, what is it that we want to do? We've got to be active. We don't want to be passive. I would just say track your time. Because it's okay to order some business cards. That might take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe if you're really being thorough, trying to find the best deal on business cards. Maybe even 10 minutes if you're just taking the first deal you could find on Vistaprint. But the mistake is to eliminate time wasting. Or to not eliminate time wasting, I should say. Because a lot of these things, and we've got to define what is a time waster. I mean, we've got the obvious things that are time wasters, which are, just kind of maybe reading news articles or things like that come out. I mean, yeah, it'll help you learn some stuff, but is this information that will help you get business today or tomorrow or this month at least? So we've got to be really strict on ourselves. One of the great things about real estate is you get to be your own boss. But one of the things that comes along with being your own boss is being your boss. You've got to be a little bit hard on yourself. And you've got to almost embody another person and tell yourself, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time doing this? Get out there and get some business. Get some deals closed. But a lot of times we're misled, not even just specifically in real estate, but we're misled by thinking that, for example, having the best looking business card out there. That's one of the mistakes I made. I'll be honest with you. I'm not perfect. I made that mistake when I first started in real estate. I spent probably a whole day, at least, I think I did some revisions after that, of designing my business card. And, I was doing it all myself. And, I was like, I don't want to pay somebody for this. And they're not going to make something as good for me. I'm a perfectionist, and that's where it's difficult to kind of take a step back from a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I spent over a day designing a business card. You know how much that work that designing that business card actually got me that day? Nothing. Didn't get me any business until I got those business cards printed and I started putting those business cards in the hands of people. But you know what happened? Because I was so... And these business cards that I had purchased, I got in ones with like foil stamping, and they cost me about $0.25 a piece. So about $0.25 a piece, which means 1,000 business cards, $250. That's a hefty price to pay. I mean, you get 1,000 business cards with good-looking business cards for like $25 at most places. So this was 10 times as much as any other business cards would normally cost, but they were some premium business cards. I mean, these are the things where you look at them and you're like, wow. And I had this whole kind of like psychological restraint, especially being a new agent with limited budgets and limited money to spend on things. And I was like, oh, I need to have good business cards because I'm going to give those to everyone. But what happened was I spent all this time designing the business cards. I spent all the money getting these fancy business cards. And you know what happened is I was hesitant to give them to people. I mean, I was a little proud at first handing them out, but then I started going down in business cards. I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to have to order more business cards. I'm going to have to order more. That's another $250. I haven't even got any leads yet out of all this year. I've just handed out some business cards. And so, look, business cards are important. But I've seen some ugly looking business cards out there. And most people don't think twice about your business card and the way it looks and the way it feels. Yeah, there's a little bit of the psychology for that. But what's more important is getting those cards in the hands of people. If I were to do this over again, I wouldn't have spent that time design. I would have paid somebody. Even back when I was doing this where, we didn't have like the stuff like Fiverr and things like that, I would have paid somebody $100 to design the card, and then another $50 to maybe even another $100. I could have paid somebody $100 to design and another $100 for printing, and it would still end up cheaper than that route I had gone down, and that would have maybe taken me a half hour worth of time, if even that much, rather than days of designing a business card. And to this day, I still see people make that same mistake. And what's great now is you've got websites like Fiverr where you could pay somebody $5, maybe $10 for the premium design, and they do the work for you. Your broker might even design the cards for you. They might even already give you some sort of basic design. Matter of fact, the brokerage I joined did. But I was like, oh no, I don't want that. I don't want to blend in. I want to stand out. Sounds legitimate, right? And that's how we end up becoming misled. And we have to constantly ask our question of, will this get me business? Will this get me business, or is there a better use of time? Is there some way to use my time better to go back to and get business? Had I asked myself that question, is me sitting in front of this computer all day trying to design a business card, is that the best use of my time for what actually gets me paid? Now look, if I were a graphic designer and I'm getting paid off of making the best design, then absolutely my time would be well spent designing a business card. But if I get paid off of closing real estate transaction, yes, a business card is something that'll help you through that process, but is designing it all day long going to get? I think you guys get the idea with this. But this doesn't apply just for that. That applies even for these Zillow profiles. I mean, you've got to ask yourself the question of how many people are really going to see this? And the answer is, especially with something like a free profile on a site where every other real estate agent has a free profile as well, not many. Unless you're advertising on one of these sites, then there's not much traffic that's going to go to these things. Even building a website, websites are super important. They're a great way to generate business. But if there's no one going to the website, start building a website. Building a website and then just hoping that Google finds it is basically like building a storefront out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, maybe there's some lonely road that passes by your storefront. But if you're spending all this time building the best storefront in a place where nobody is going, you're going to go out of business. So building a website, having a website built, I should say, is important. But that's only if you're going to invest money in getting people on that website. Because Google isn't going to do it for free. You pay Google, they will. And yeah, there's the whole search engine optimization, but you're competing against every other realtor in your market, as well as every other brokerage in your market, as well as Zillow, as well as Truly, as well as Realtor.com, and all these sites that are already dominating that. So it's almost impossible to get a website to just for free get you traffic. And on top of that, most of these websites are costing hundreds of dollars a month for the ones that are built out for you. They can be effective, but if you're putting money towards that, if you're putting money towards it to get attention on that site, now maybe we've got something that could generate you some business. So these are the questions you've got to ask. That brochure, And you might get hung up on thinking something like, oh, if I don't have any sort of brochure to hand out to people when I meet them, then, you know what, then they've got to listen to me. If I just give them the brochure, they can just read the brochure. Look, I don't care who you are. You give them a brochure when you're standing there face to face and they say, oh, well, why should we choose you? Oh, well, here's my brochure. Just read through that. And that's just going to be awkward. You've got to have that communication. You've got to have that face to face. So tracking your time is important because it's easy to get caught up on these things that aren't getting you business today. Even training. Training is important, but you've got to make sure that you're not training all day because you don't get paid to train. You get paid to use the skills that you learn while training. I see a lot of new agents that will just immerse themselves in classes. And what happens if you immerse yourself in some training classes, you maybe go through a week of immersion of training yourself in some sort of in-depth program. If you're not putting those skills to use, you're going to forget them. If you're not doing what it is that you're learning, you're going to forget what it is that you're learning, and then that's time wasted. So again, tracking your time, the better way to go about training is doing a little bit every day. Starting your day, I would say ideally, with maybe an hour, if even an hour of some training. And just doing that every single day. Doing that every single day, if you're just spending an hour a day, that's 52 hours in a year. And yeah, you could do that 52 hours of training in one single week, but if you're not putting that training to use, you're going to forget about it. It's going to be lost information. Whereas if you're doing just a little bit every single day, you'll have a chance now every single day to try out and test out and find out the best way to act upon those skills it is that you learn in the training. So tracking your time, huge thing that's important. And some ways to do this I would recommend. Get a piece of paper, go buy a planner if you want. Track your time. Make sure you're not spending too much time, researching, how should I plan my day? No, just track your time. Just get a piece of paper and log what it is that you're doing. Log what it is that you're doing, and then at the end of the day, that's where you've got to play the role of boss. And you've got to go back and look at this and say, well, you know what? You spent too much time doing this. You spent too much time doing this. You spent too much time doing this. You are your own boss, so you've got to tell yourself, hey, look, I got caught up for like an hour going through Facebook, and I wasn't trying to prospect or lead generate on Facebook. I was just searching for, just scrolling through the news feed, which I get it. That news feed is intoxicating. But, and another thing, a lot of people, they worry about, making sure every single last email in their email box is acted upon. Look, let me tell you what I've got right now in my email inbox. I've got 46,248 unread messages. And I've met people that have even more than that. And yeah, there's a lot of junk that comes in there. There's a lot of things that I'll kind of look at. There's a lot of things that don't necessarily need my attention. And if I know what that email is about already, if I could tell right from the subject line and I know it's not something that needs my attention, not even going to spend a second even looking at that email. And you might think that one little second doesn't count, but when you're getting 100, 1,000 maybe even emails a day, and you're taking even just 5 seconds to look at each individual one of those emails, that time adds up. So tracking your time, this allows you to see what it is that you're actually doing every day. It allows you to see, okay, yeah, I'm not spending enough time talking to my leads. I should have called more leads. I shouldn't have spent so much time in my email inbox. I spent an hour and a half on lunch here. I should spend less. I should spend 15 minutes eating food and then go back to making money then that way. Because look, if you were effective in your time management, look, you don't have to be working long hours. You just have to take the time it is that you're actually spending working and go 100%. If you're giving it your all during those couple hours it is that you're working, then you could take an early afternoon. You could breeze out of the office early. A lot of people will still breeze out of the office early, but not after having accomplished anything. Walking away from that day as a loss. And so that's what you've got to look at it. Was this day a win or was this day a loss? Did this day have some room for improvement? And ask yourself those questions and you're going to slowly make yourself better. It's a game of persistence. But you want to start this from day one because, like I said, it's so easy to get caught up in the things that will slow you down. that seem like they're important, but it's just perceived importance and not real importance. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about your first month in real estate, how to make it successful, how to get out there and start closing deals right away rather than, delaying this gratification. I mean, a lot of you guys, maybe you're starting a real estate career and you're trying to transition careers and you're working full-time in one, you're trying to take on real estate now part-time. How do you accelerate that change? How do you accelerate that transition? How do you make that faster? Or maybe you're diving head first into real estate and you're just going straight into it. This is your only thing it is that you're focusing on right now. And that's where this could get really dangerous as well, unless you're tracking your time, unless you're actually out there being active. And that's how you can really turn this, what could have a huge downside potential, into a crazy upside potential. There's no limit on how much money it is that you can make. There's no limit on how many deals it is that you could close. You are your own limit. And that's what we're talking about today. State of real estate. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Carissimo.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Carissimo. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to take your real estate business to the next level, to grow your real estate business, to actually make some money with your real estate license. Every Friday, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so you don't miss out on any of this information. And we've got a question coming in from David Watson. David always has great questions. He's commented on the show before. So David's asking, hey John, wondering if these huge companies that say, if we can't sell your home, we'll buy it, or offer any threat to the smaller brokers out there, do they attract a lot more sellers? Thank you. So yeah, David, great question. Thank you. And this one, you might at first glance think, oh, well, how does this relate to being successful? And this is absolutely a great question, because if we take what it is that these, if we can't sell it, we buy it type of organizations that are out there. And look, they're not the only large organization out there that has some sort of compelling reason to choose them. And us, when we look at that, we say, well, why wouldn't we choose them? Because if they can't sell it, they'll buy it. But now let's talk about a different way to look at that question. Why is it that people even know about that? If we don't sell it, we'll buy it. Because and this isn't anything that's new. This has been around for quite some time. But if we're talking at the office and we talk, and let's say we work at the same office and we're just talking amongst each other and we say, hey, I bet people would would want to list with us if we told them if we don't sell the property, we'll buy it. Yeah, that is a great idea. But if this idea just stays internal, if this stays between us, then nothing happens. It's about getting attention. However it is that you're getting attention. And look, we could spin that. I could spin that into a way if somebody brings this up as an objection in the listing appointment. Let's say that they've already interviewed one of these, if we can't sell your house, we'll buy it type of brokerages, and then we come in there and we're trying to get the listing, and they say, well, we're really inclined to go with this broker there because they said it, if they can't sell our house, they're going to buy it. And so look, I completely understand that's a compelling argument, but let me tell you why they say that. I don't need to say that because I'm not worried about my abilities to sell your house. I know that we could get your house sold. Look, and with them, it's maybe a compelling reason, but with the fine print, there's these little offers, these guarantees about if we can't sell your house, we buy it. They're riddled with fine print. An average listing agreement is riddled with fine print. And with these, in order to buy it, first of all, it's not really going to be them buying it. It's usually some sort of group of investors that are buying a property. Or maybe they're just selling it to some institutional type of investment firm. And they've got them the agreement that they will buy any properties. But that agreement comes at buying it at a discount. Anytime you're selling property to an investor doesn't want to pay market value. Investors like to make their money on the purchase. Investors like to make their money when they purchase properties. And what that means is they've got to buy it below market value. Very rarely, and these are only if they're inexperienced investors, which really aren't doing much damage because they usually don't have much money to work with, but the big institutional firms that are out there, the big investment companies, they're making their money as soon as they buy the property. So they know they could turn around right away and sell it and already have a profit in there. So they make their money on the purchase of the transaction. So if they have to buy the property because they couldn't market it well enough, you're going to be selling for less than you could if it was marketed effectively. So notice how you can kind of turn that whole thing around. And this is a great point. This is maybe something that you hear and you say, well, God, what if that does happen? What if these people do to ask me about this? I've got to have an answer for that. Let me research this and find out. Do a listing appointment. Let's find out. Let's not worry about things that haven't happened in these what if type of scenarios. Get out there, and if you're getting this feedback from your clients, anytime you get this feedback from your clients, and the more experience it is that you get, and the more it is that you know about real estate over time, with experience, this doesn't happen overnight. There's no way to cram in everything to know about real estate in a week, in a month, in a year. You're constantly going to be learning something every day that your career progresses. But as you get this information, and especially if you start to get this pushback more and more often, that's where, okay, let's find out how to fix this. Let's find out how I can respond to that whole, if we don't sell it, we'll buy it. And I would even go further and ask, and really this is about, we could sum up a lot of this stuff into communicating clearly. Communicating clearly with yourself that you're doing what you need to, and telling yourself, communicating with yourself that, hey, look, you shouldn't be wasting your time doing this or that or whatever it may be, or communicating with the sellers. And I would ask also that question, and this is something that anytime you get some sort of objection or some sort of complaint, you want to handle this in a very specific manner. And this is something that is good to know as soon as possible, is number one, you always want to agree with whatever it is that they're saying. Because if you disagree with them, then you're going to be arguing with them, you're having a back and forth, and there's no way to get your message across because you're coming across as opposing. And people just like to argue with each other. It's easy to argue with each other. It's difficult to take their point of view, and what you've got to do, and this is why you've got to agree with them, is that you've got to go on their side. You've got to say, well, yeah, that does sound like a great deal that they'll buy your house. But let me ask you this, before we even talk about this, other than this whole guarantee that they'll buy it, is there anything else holding you back from choosing me? Because now what we're doing is we might find out there's other things that they're worried about. And, they might say something, maybe somehow they ask, well, how long have you been in real estate? And obviously you don't want to lie to them. Not only is that misrepresentation and could you get you some sort of trouble, but if they find out the truth, they're really not going to trust you and not want to do business with you. So maybe they ask you, well, how long have you had your real estate license? And you say, oh, I've had my real estate license for a month. You're going to be my first client. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we're not really comfortable with using somebody who doesn't have that much experience. Watch. They just gave us the objection. They just gave us the complaint that they're not comfortable with our level of experience. Hey, look, I completely agree with you. This is one of the largest transactions that you'll do in your lifetime, and I completely understand that you would want somebody with experience. But the good news is we actually have a whole team behind me at my office, and my broker has been in the business for X amount of years, and I'm going to be working right on their side with this transaction to make sure that we get your property sold at the best price. And look, I don't have many clients that I'm working with right now because I am brand new to the business, so you're addressing these things it is they're concerned about. But what that does is that frees up my time to focus on getting your property sold at the highest and best price in the fastest amount of time possible. Now, other than my level of experience, is there anything else that's keeping you from making a decision today? No, it's just the level of experience. Well, are you okay with us using the broker in the transaction? Are you okay with my broker who has 10 years, 20 years, 25 years of experience? Are you okay with him being involved in the transaction? Yes? Okay, great. I'm just going to need your signature right here and we could get started. Easy. So it's... And you might say, well, John, yeah, you've been doing this for a long time. You've got all these answers. And look, I didn't always have all these answers. You learn this stuff over time. But anytime it is, and this is another big mistake, and we won't put it on our list here, but when you're dealing with people, we're here in real estate. We're salespeople, but we're the on your side type of salespeople. We're looking out for your best interest type of salespeople. We're not the, hey, buy this rusted out car that I've got here. Don't worry, I'm giving you a great deal on it. Don't check it out online, but this rusted out car that I'm selling here, it's great. We're not the seller. We're not the buyer. We're not the opposing party. We're on their side trying to help them. And when we can establish this level of trust, then that makes not only more open communication, but it makes it easier to get deals signed, to get listings signed, to get buyer brokerage agreements signed, to actually close deals. And look, you're going to run into these objections, these things, and whatever it is. And let's say you walk away from this listing agreement and you jumbled your words, you didn't know what to say, and they ask you this question of, hey, well, you're a new agent, and you didn't say it quite like you could. You should take out that piece of paper, maybe the same one it is that you're tracking your time on. This doesn't have to be crazy, but then write down these things on there that didn't have an answer to being a new agent. Now, you might just think that, oh, well, I just have to not be a new agent. I just have to be in the business for so many years. That's something that held me back because I got into real estate really young. The average age of the real estate agent, it's actually down. It's normally, over the past couple years, it's been 57, but it's actually dropped down to 55. So me coming in here, people took one look at me and say, oh, no, you don't look like you've been doing this for a while. You don't look like you've got experience. And maybe people were thinking that. Maybe they won't. I thought they were thinking that. And that really held me back a lot when I first got started in real estate because I was worried about my perception. I was worried. And my mind was just telling me, hey, you just gotta put in the time. You just gotta keep waiting it out. And once you've had your real estate license for a year, they'll see you that you're experienced. Oh no, at 1 year, okay, they still don't. Okay, well, once you've had your real estate license for 2 years, they'll think you're experienced. There's always gonna be somebody with more experience than you. I mean, I've met people that have been in real estate 30, 40, 50, 60 years. People that got their license when I got my license, but 60, 70 years ago, and they're still out there doing real estate today. So there's always going to be people that are more experienced than you. There's always going to be somebody that's more experienced. So don't let that be a hang up, because if you're waiting to become experienced, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be able to beat you out with that. I mean, until you're out there, on oxygen, in one of the little wheelchairs because you can't walk, I mean, maybe then you'll be the most experienced agent that's out there. But do you want to wait until then to really capitalize on your business, or do you want to be able to capitalize on your business now? So we've got to look at these in the different ways. Okay, they said we're not experienced. Well, how do we solve that? What assets do we have already? Your broker is going to have at least 2 years of experience because they can't become a broker without having at least 2 years of experience. And they're probably going to have a lot more experience than that. Your broker's got 10 years of experience. Look, You go into these transactions, and look, maybe you want to talk to your broker about this ahead of time just to make sure they're okay with it, or maybe there's another agent at the office that's been helping you out, and you just say, hey, is it okay if I tell clients that you're here by my side working through this transaction to help me out if I have any difficulties because I'm a new agent? And they'll probably say yes. And now we've got the ticket to go out there when our clients question our experience, or when they question anything for that matter, but especially the experience, because this is a direct answer to that whole experience question. Hey, look, I understand this is the largest decision you guys are probably going to make in your lifetime, one of the largest at the very least. It's a big financial transaction. I completely understand that you don't want to make a mistake. I completely understand that. And look, I know that I just got licensed within the last week, let's say. Let's say you're really out there and you're out there day one, just got your license, and you're out there on an appointment, and you're trying to close business, you're trying to get a listing signed, you're trying to get a buyer brokerage agreement signed, you're trying to do something, and somehow somebody questions how long you've been in the real estate industry, you tell them. Don't try to hide that fact, because if you try to hide that fact and they find out, that's going to ultimately be bad for your business. So they ask you, how long have you been in the business? Look, I completely understand that you want somebody with experience. Look, to be completely upfront and honest with you, just got my real estate license this month. And I know that probably makes you say, oh, no way am I going to use John Crismo for my real estate transaction. Look, I had the best training out there to get my license. It's a super hard exam to get my real estate license. But on top of that, I've got a broker that's got 25 years of experience, or whatever your broker has. I've got a broker that's got 25 years of experience, and because I'm a new agent, he's going to be working on my side to get this transaction completed, to get your property sold for the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time possible. And being that I don't have many clients right now, I can focus my efforts on you. I can make sure that I'm giving you guys 100%. So if it's okay with you that my broker is involved, is that okay? It is? Okay, great. Well, I just need you to sign right here, and we're going to go ahead and get started working for you today. So, and notice how I mean, this is just something we talked about a couple minutes ago, but now we're doing this again, and that's the key. Repetition. We'll put that one on the list. That one's going to make the cut for the list. Repetition. If anything is important, it's repetition. It's repeating again and again, because you might be inclined. Let's say you completely blow it, and worst case scenario, they ask you to leave. That's the worst case scenario. They ask you to leave, and you're like, crap, that was terrible. I mean, you might be likely you'll probably be traumatized by that. And you'll maybe never want to go on another listing appointment again, especially if you had one that just went so bad. But if you've heard the expression, you got to get back up on the horse, you do. You've got to get back up on the course. You've got to have the repetition. You've got to go out there and try again and keep failing forward. And yeah, you'll make some mistakes, but look, these mistakes that you make are going to make you ultimately more confident. You'll probably be a little bit nervous. You might have a hard time getting some words out. It's completely normal. I mean, you look at me and you look at how I could talk in front of people, and people tell me all the time, oh, you're such a great speaker. That wasn't always the case. I remember the first opportunities I had speaking in front of people, and I would choke up, and I would freeze, and I'd be shaking, and I just couldn't even concentrate because I'm just overwhelmed with stress. But the repetition of doing this again and again and again and again and again and again and again, you just slowly get better, because now all of a sudden it's not this new thing. Because where this stress comes from is you start thinking about these what if scenarios. You think, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And you're worried about all these what ifs and trying to be ready for these what if scenarios. But then you only find out that none of those what ifs, or if any of them, only one of them actually occurred. So when you forget about all the what ifs and just go out there and try, and you try to be honest, and you try to be open, and you try to be direct, and you try to communicate, you will do all of those things. You might not do it great, but you do it again, you're going to get a little bit better. You do it again, you get a little bit better. So repetition is essential. Don't let one failure say that, hey, I'm never doing this again. I can't tell you how many deals I had fall through before I actually got one closed. I think it was like 4 or 5 actual contracts before I actually had a contract that closed. And it's a little bit unusual, but I was definitely on that, hey, look, let me just try this. I'll figure it out as I go. And I figured some things out. Figured it out the hard way, which is definitely a hard way to learn, but I figured them out, and I eventually got a deal closed. Even more clients that I went through. And one of the biggest mistakes I have, another one we'll put up on here, is the numbers. And we're going to talk about what I mean when I say the numbers after this quick commercial break. So stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate, and every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to mastermind, to grow your real estate business, to make you some money out there with your real estate license. You've got the license to I shouldn't say make money, to earn money. But now we've got to know how to do it. We've got to know what it is to do. So I've been talking about these things that are super important for your first month in real estate. Number one, that you've got to be active. You've got to be out there taking action, because if you're taking action, then you're going to see results. If you're sitting around and waiting for things to happen to you, someday you might sell something. But do we want to wait for the universe, for whatever higher power that's out there to send business to us? I mean, yeah, we could. But you'll probably be more immediately rewarded for taking action. I guarantee you'll be more immediately rewarded for taking action. Number two, tracking your time, because it's easy to get caught up on these things. There's a lot of things to do when you first get your real estate license. I mean, your broker's going to give you this whole checklist of things you've got to do. There's the whole steps that to even get the real estate license. So there's so many things to do. But you've got to kind of to sort through these and prioritize these. Okay, what absolutely needs to be done and what's more of a time waster? What's something that's not going to get me business today? Because these things will get done. I mean, you've got plenty of time to get every last detail figured out, to get a website, to get business cards and things like that. But you've got to focus on what is going to get you business immediately. And what I'd recommend for this is logging the time it is that you're spending every single day, tracking what it is that you're doing. And then at the end of the day, you're coaching yourself. You're being your boss. You get to be your own boss. It's a great thing about real estate, but a lot of people don't actually boss themselves around. A lot of people just let them do whatever it is that they want. You say, I'm gonna, it's great being my own boss. I could go scroll through Facebook, check out Instagram, maybe go through some emails, maybe order something on Amazon, or who knows what it is that you end up wasting your time doing. But if you're logging your time, you could become aware of what it is that you're actually doing. Repetition. That's another one that we talked about. So repetition, when you do something, don't just do it once. If anything is worth doing once, you need to do it again and again and again and again and again. Even if you don't get the results it is that you expect from that first time, repetition will help you get those results. Most things don't work the first time around. I mean, if we think of the Wright brothers, and when they finally figured out how to put an airplane in flight. How many revisions and how many times it is. If they just gave up, we'd probably still be driving around today. We wouldn't be able to go across the world in hours. We'd be a lot less connected society had they not had that repetition of again and again and again trying out the different ways to finally finding what actually works. You've got to do the same thing in your real estate business. Look, even if you've taken a great training about how to do something in particular, maybe about holding an open house, maybe about showing homes, or maybe about doing a listing appointment, even if you've had the best training in the world on these things, you might make some mistakes. Your personality might have some effect on the way these are handled. So have that repetition, and after every time you do something, you maybe make a little bit of a note on your activity log and say, oh, went on a listing appointment, they asked this question, didn't have an answer to it, and now we've got something we could go back to. When we review this at the end of the day, okay, we had this question that we didn't have an answer to. What kind of answer could we have to this? Maybe you don't have the answer. Talk to your broker. Talk to another agent in your office and say, hey, how do you answer this question about the one we talked about, that example used of, hey, I'm a new agent and they're worried about my experience level. And you talk to other people and find out what it is what they would say. I mean, that's what's great about the real estate industry, is it's so cooperative. But most people aren't active in seeking out that cooperation. They're hoping that somebody just comes along and says up to them and says, hey, do you want me to help you close a deal? Do you want me to help you get your first couple deals done? And you say, wow, that would be great. Are you going to really help me? Or am I just going to be able to sit back and you do all the work? No, you'll have to do some work. Oh, well, I'm trying to be passive, and I want passive income and whatnot. That's a big word, passive. No such thing as passive income, because even, the whole real estate investment thing of, that's passive. Is it passive for finding that deal? Is it passive for buying that deal? The only type of passive income, I would say, is having money in your bank. But look, you got to put that money in the bank in the first place, so then even then it's not passive. And putting it in the bank, you're going to get like a quarter of a percent of interest now. So I mean, not a whole lot of money to be made right there. So it's not about being passive, it's about being active, it's about being intentional, it's about taking action and doing things that are going to result in your success. And then finally, the numbers. This is super important. This is another one of the mistakes. I speak from experience with a lot of this stuff, because I got my real estate license and I wasn't an overnight success story. It took me time. And I made a lot of mistakes I shouldn't have made, especially given my sphere I had around me, the brokerage that I was with, the agents that were more than willing to help me at the office, but, I was just kind of, waiting for them to offer to help me, to my family that's in real estate. I was just trying to know, I'll figure this all out. I'm going to design these great business cards, and I'm going to be rolling in the dough because I've got the best business card out there. And we look back on these things in hindsight, and we realize these mistakes it is that we make. But numbers, that's another of the mistakes that I made when I first started out, is a lot of this, especially when we're dealing with repetition, especially when our system isn't perfect, we've got to cast a large net. So imagine you're fishing. You're fishing, and if you've got a little net this big, and you throw that little net out there and you pull it back up, and you're disappointed when there's not fish in there, what might you do to try to catch a fish? Rather than not even catch more fish, but just catch a fish. Well, you might say, probably would get a bigger net. So rather than having a net like this, maybe we're getting a net like this. Okay, we move from like a 1 foot net up to like a 5 foot net. I don't know if this is how nets are measured. I have fished before, but I'm not really a fisherman. But follow the analogy here. We take the net like this, don't catch anything. Crap. If we just keep throwing that same tiny net out there, maybe someday we'll get lucky and be able to grab a fish. Or we throw out a bigger net and throw out an even bigger net. And that's what these, commercial fishermen do, and how they're depleting the oceans and all that other stuff of fish, because they throw out these giant nets and they're scooping up everything. They're bringing everything in. But that's what you have to do with your real estate business. You've got to throw a large net. You throw this large net, and then you try to pay attention to where the net is picking up fish. Maybe you throw out this 100-foot net, but all the fish are coming from over here. So you're like, okay, I could throw out a smaller net there. I could go back to my small net that isn't as expensive, and now throw out the smaller net. And now you could go back down to that small net, but if you're just popping that little small net all over the place, you're going to have a hard time trying to catch something. So going back to the numbers, and like I said, this was a mistake that I made when I first started in the real estate industry, was I was taking every single lead I got and treating it like, oh, I got a lead, I did it. I'm going to be the next top real estate agent because I got a lead. Again, it sounds a little ridiculous in hindsight, but we're misled. And it's not anything against the people it is that are the leads. They might be serious, but maybe not as serious as they think they are, or that you think they are. Or maybe they're just not ready, or maybe something comes up. So how do we make sure that, not only that we can put food on the table, that we've got at least some money coming in, but we're not able to just survive but also thrive? We've got to cast a bigger net. We've got to try to bring in more leads, prioritize the leads, just like you've got a lot of tasks to do. When you start getting clients, you should be prioritizing your clients. This is my number one client. This client is my number one priority today. This is my number two. This is my number three. Maybe they're not even clients yet. Maybe they're just prospects. Maybe they're just somebody that maybe asked for information at an open house over the weekend. And that was just, let's say it's Monday morning, and on Sunday you had an open house and they were interested and you had a good conversation with them. And now what do we do on Monday? Well, we don't just forget about them. They're priority number one. Hey, I want to thank you again for coming out to the open house this weekend. I really appreciate that. Look, do you have any, just real quick, do you have any feedback for my seller about what it is that you didn't like about the house? Oh, well, it was actually a nice house. Oh, look, no, I completely understand. Look, this is completely anonymous. I'm not going to tell them it is that you don't like it or anything like that, but you didn't make an offer on the property, so there's got to be something that wasn't right for you. What was it that's not right? And yes, I am collecting feedback for the seller that had us do this open house, but at the same time, I'm qualifying them. I'm finding out how much it is that they're likely to purchase a home. Because if they've got some particular answers, if they say, well, a lot of the properties that we've been looking at had a much larger kitchen, and this one has a pretty small kitchen, and you say, okay, yeah, and how important would you say that kitchen is? And we're trying to pull out this information to get to know them, to find out what their goals are. And then we kind of maybe transition after we've talked about the property a little bit, and we might ask, well, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been looking to purchase a home? Oh, we started looking a couple months ago. Yeah, how soon are you looking to purchase? Oh, is this still relevant to the, oh, no, this is just all anonymous information I want to pass along to the seller so they know, which things it is that they need to fix on the property. Oh, well, yeah, we're really actually pretty actively looking, really. And is there any reason why you didn't have your realtor with you when you came to look at this property this weekend? They said, oh, well, we don't have a realtor. Boom! They're ready to buy. They don't have a realtor yet. It's like, well, looking at this information and your answers here, I actually think there's a couple of properties that are in this neighborhood it is that you like that might match what it is that you're looking for, that I think you'll like better. I've got some time this afternoon. I don't have much time, but I do have a little bit of time this afternoon. We could go take a look at some of those if that works. How does 3 o'clock work for you? Oh, we're kind of busy at 3 o'clock. Oh, yeah, I completely understand. I get it. What would be a good time for you today? Because I think that you're really going to like these properties. Oh, well, how about, I've got a lot of stuff going on. Well, would tomorrow be better? Yeah, tomorrow would be better. Okay, what time tomorrow works for you? Can you do 11? There we go. And now notice how we had that repetition. If we just took it, and when they told us that, what was it that we were saying? I'm forgetting my story here. If when they said that, 3 o'clock doesn't work for me, if we've got these, demons, we've got these things inside of us telling us, oh yeah, they don't want to use you. That's why they said they're not available at 3 o'clock. They're not ready to buy. That's why they're not ready at 3 o'clock. If they told you they're ready to buy, they're probably ready to buy. That's the benefit of asking these direct questions with them. But notice how we have the repetition. Oh, I completely understand that. I'm sure you're busy. I know that's short notice. Would any time work for you today? I might be able to move some things around. Maybe. And now notice how I am doing this and having this position of I might be able to fit you in. Because if they think that we're some salesperson with nothing going on and that we're just trying to get them and close them and get a deal and now I take their money, they're not going to be too open and receptive to that. But if we're trying to help them out and we're just trying to find a little bit of time where we can help them out and show them something that it is that they like off of what it is that they told us, they're much more likely to say yes. And this is where you start building this relationship. And you say, okay, great. My office is actually right down the street here. Before we go and take a look at these properties, I just need some quick information for you. I want to go over a couple things for you at my office. Can you meet me at the office right at 11? Okay, great. I'll text you the address to that office, and I'll text you in the morning to make sure that we're still good for our appointment. Before I let you go, is there anything other questions it is that you have or anything like that? No? Okay, great. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. There we go. We've got an appointment, and why we bring them into the office ahead of time is to kind of go over some things, to further qualify them, to show them maybe the properties it is that we're thinking about. Take a look at them on paper, take a look at them on the computer, on the tablet, on the big screen, however it is that you want to show these to them, so we could find out if these are properties it is that they are interested in, or if they were misses. And this is why you want to have a few different properties ready for this type of stuff. And then that falls under our things it is that we have to do. And we've got to prioritize this, but let's say we're meeting a couple clients tomorrow. We could cluster this all together. We could go find the properties for this person, and this person all at the same time. So when you batch this stuff together, when you put it together, it will ultimately make you more efficient and make you more of a machine. That's what you're trying to make yourself, a real estate closing machine. You're helping your clients, you're earning their value. And you're just a machine because you're cranking this out because you know what to do. You know what needs to be done. You know how to do it. You have all the answers. The more it is that you can get to that ideal, the better and more profitable it is that you'll become. So, but it goes back to the numbers because that conversation might not go so well. You might talk to them and say, oh, you know what, this whole week here we're really busy. How about you call me next week? Done. Yeah, I'll give you a call next week. What time would be good for me to give you a call? And they said to call me next week, so they pretty much kind of have to give you a time right now. And they say, oh, well, give me a call same time a week from now. Great, I've got it on my calendar. I'm going to go ahead and email you out some information here that I think you'll like about purchasing a home. Some of the stuff you might have seen already, but I think it's going to be really essential and that you'll really like it. So I'm going to send that out to you now. I'm going to talk to you next week at 11 a.m. Great. Now we're going to follow up with them, and maybe you text them ahead of time and say, hey, look, are we still good to talk at 11 today? Oh, no, something came up. I'm not available at 11. Great. What time would be good? Maybe they don't respond. People aren't perfect. Not everyone's going to be the perfect client. So how do we cover for that? How do we cover that spread of that unpredictability of the client maybe not really being serious, or maybe they do have a realtor and they just didn't tell us, and whatever the case may be? Numbers. Having more than one client. That was one of the big mistakes I made. I would rely on one client and I'd work that one client, but something wouldn't go right, and now I'm no better because I just had the one client that I was focusing on for weeks and I've got no closings. The numbers are so important. Not just having one client. And you might think, oh, I want to take it slow. When you say you're going to take it slow, you're basically saying, hey, yeah, no, making money, I want to take that slow. If I were to ask you, hey, making money, is that something you want to take slow or that you want to take it fast? Fast. More money, the faster the better. Great. Well, if you want that, you can't take this slow. You've got to go out there and line up a bunch of clients and talk to a few different people and get multiple people together. And what'll happen is you're going to learn quicker, you're going to close deals quicker, you're going to make mistakes. Don't get me wrong, you're going to make mistakes. There's no avoiding making mistakes. I don't care how long you've been in real estate, to this day, you could still make mistakes. So look, and pretty much any mistake can be fixed. No one mistake is going to completely destroy somebody's life, especially if we're communicating. That helps us avoid these mistakes. But look, mistakes will happen. It's where we have errors and omissions insurance to cover for errors or omissions or problems that could exist. So numbers are so important. Getting multiple clients, multiple people it is that you're working with, not just, relying on one person, hoping this one client is going to be the deal. So got to have the numbers with it. So again, just to sum this up, because we're almost out of time for today, you've got to be active. You've got to go out there, take action, be intentional. Don't be passive. Don't sit around waiting for business to come to you. Number 2, you've got to track your time. Find out what things are time wasting. It might seem like a good thing to do, something important to do, but if it's not, you got to ask the question, will this get me business, or is there a better way to get business? Is there a better use of my time? And if there is, we need to replace that time tomorrow with those things that are going to be better at getting us business. Number 3, we've got to have repetition. Anything worth doing once is worth doing again and again and again and again. Doing things again and again. Don't let one failure completely destroy you. That one failure, everyone fails on the first time at almost anything. I mean, even passing the exam, that's the whole, 50% pass rate, but that's not the end of the world. That repetition of doing something again and again and again, you eventually get it figured out. Whatever that may be, whatever it applies to. So have the repetition. And finally, have the numbers. Don't think small. Don't take it slow. If you think about, I want to take it slow, I only want to work with one client here, and so that way I don't make too many mistakes here. Look, you'll learn faster the more clients it is that you're working with at the same time. You'll learn from one client. One client will teach you something that's maybe going on with another client, but you'll never know if you only have one client at a time. If you have multiple clients, this is where you've got more of a system. This is where you have more consistent income. This is where your business becomes predictable rather than just, hoping that this person will buy a property. So you've got to have the numbers as well. It's about all the time we've got today on this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to our Success Center yet, this is where you can find all of these videos. Every single live stream, that's the best place to watch it, is on our Success Center. That's tampaschool.com/success. If you're not already on our email list, drop your email in there and we'll email you every time it is that we go live so you don't miss out on any of this crucial information. You don't have to be a past student on the Tampa School of Real Estate to tune in weekly or even ask questions. Send them into us. We will help you become successful in real estate. We want to help you become successful in real estate. So send in whatever questions, whatever things are holding you back that you don't know, that you don't need, that you're not sure. Send that into us and we will help you out. So get on that email list, tampaschool.com/success. And like I said, we'll email you every time it is that we go live so you don't miss any opportunity to grow your real estate business. We've got all of our previous episodes of State of Real Estate and Ask the Instructor, as well as articles and calculators and all kinds of tools, all at tampaschool.com/success. Again, that link is tampaschool.com/success. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and I'll see you next week.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.